Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Shra. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Dindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadeshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. So welcome to this Sri Isopanisad study. So today we'll be discussing verses 4 through 8, and so we'll just do a quick review of last week. So the outline of this Sri Isopanisad, as we've been discussing, so verses invocation through verses 3, speak to us about how to live in harmony with Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, our Supreme Lord. And this week we're going to be discussing verses 4 through 8, which explains understanding Ishvara with a spiritual vision and not our materially mental concocted version. So how to understand who is Ishvara. So that's what we'll be discussing this week. So last week we discussed this Ishavasyan principle, that how to understand the importance of living a God-centered life, knowing that everything comes from the Supreme Lord, that everything is coming from the Lord as the Supreme Controller, and that we have our fair share to be able to use in the service of the Supreme Lord and in our basic maintenance. But trying to accumulate more than necessary just to eat nicely, sleep nicely, mate nicely, and defend nicely is going beyond the rules of this Ishavasya principle. And we should understand that because we have a quota set aside for us, there's no need to endeavor beyond basic activities. That everything is provided for us in nature so that we may take to the higher purpose of life, that is to find complete satisfaction in our relationship with the complete whole. Bringing back to that invocation verse. And we discussed that this Ishavasyan principle, it should, kill our thieving mentality. It should actually shake our consciousness. There's no such thing as free. Everything is Krishna's resources. And so though our bank account may afford us the ability to consume things, we should be mindful. Is this necessary? We should consume that is what is necessary for us, because ultimately nature has provided us a certain quota. So both the capitalists and the communists have it wrong. And the capitalists claiming that the resources are one's individual, where the communists suggest that the resources are of the state. Well, the reality is the resources are of Krishna's. He has provided them, and so he's giving them to us to use, but we should use according to our quota. And then we can live in a peaceful situation amongst ourselves and amongst all living entities and obtain the higher purpose of life, and that is our spiritual realization. So that is the Ishavasyan principle, the core of the Sri Isopanisad, and an important instruction for us on how to shape our day-to-day activities. So now we're going to discuss verses 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So verse 4 reads, or mantra 4, although fixed in his abode, the personality of Godhead is swifter than the mind, and can overcome all others running. The powerful demigods cannot approach him, although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. So, mantra 4 here is describing the position of Ishvara, describing the position of Krishna. Right? So there are 4 key points here that we're going to discuss. The first is this devotion versus mental speculation. That how to know about God is explained in this verse. Even the great demigods cannot understand Krishna on their own. So what is the ability of our own mental speculation? The Sri Isopanisad is constantly guiding us how to understand the Vedic truth, the absolute truth. And it must be going through the Guru Parampara, learning from the ultimate source, Ishvara, Krishna. We see how fast he is. He is fastest of the fast. You know, he says he's faster than the mind. How quick is the mind? You know, I think I'm in Vrindavan and I'm in Vrindavan. That fast. But yet, he is even faster than that. And he is so far away that if one travels at the speed of mind for millions of years, still, to the mental speculator, he will remain far away. Okay? So that is, again, how fast he is and how far away. Then the third point that's made in this verse is that Krishna cannot be known by the greatest mystic speculators. Even the powerful demigods who control the air and rain, he is in control of. Right? These powerful sages cannot understand him. The powerful demigods cannot understand him. So then what is our ability on our own? You know? And we understand this very simply, that the limited can never know the unlimited fully. Right? It's just simple example. This is not even limited, unlimited. This is just relative. You know, a child doesn't understand the full plans of parents. You know, they can only understand bits and portions of it because of their ability. Well, then think about our even most developed minds, how it compares to the mind of Krishna, to the abilities of Krishna, to the scope of Krishna. We're so insignificant. Like a child is relatively insignificant to Father, how insignificant we are to our Supreme Father. So we cannot understand on our own. The limited can never know the unlimited on their own. So this is very important. And then the fourth point is that Krishna, the Supreme Lord, is simultaneously near and far. He is situated in Goloka Vrindavan, while also present throughout the universe. He is everywhere. And Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of fire and heat and light. The fire sits in one place, but the energy of heat and light can permeate far and wide, like the energy of the sun. The sun globe is presented in one place, yet the heat and the light distributed millions and millions of miles. The sun is 93 million miles away. So is the sun near or is the sun far? If you step outside, it feels very near in the summertime. Right? So, like that, Krishna, he is present everywhere through his energies. He is non-different from his energies. And his energies are everywhere. Right? But one cannot say that Krishna, the absolute truth, is everywhere. We can say his energies are. Right? So, since his energies are present everywhere, it does not mean he has lost his form. He is still situated as himself, far away in Goloka Vrindavan, while simultaneously present everywhere. And this is the key distinction in our Bhagavad philosophy. That Krishna, though he is dispersed everywhere through his energies, he remains intact, in whole, in his original form in Goloka Vrindavan. And that is Purnameva Vishishyate. He remains the complete whole, though he is making so many. So though his energies are present everywhere, he is nonetheless remains himself in the spiritual world. And that is an important conclusion of understanding the potency of Krishna. We'll speak about his inconceivable potencies in the coming verse, but here we see how he is far and near. Right? This verse also is important because it proves the personal form of God. One of the main tenets of the Sri Isopanisad, right? Discovering the original person. It's establishing God as a person. And so here we see he runs. How can something formless run? It's not possible. He is present in multiple places. It removes the doubt that the Lord loses his form when he disperses his energy everywhere. That is one of the Mayavadi philosophers, right? Philosophies. But he is present in his abode and everywhere else. So that, again, establishes the Lord as a person. Right? He does not lose it when he enters the material realm. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada speaks about Krishna's division of energies. And we'll speak about his potencies. But there are three divisions of energies. But we should understand Krishna has unlimited energies. But they can be categorized in these three divisions, and under which there are unlimited subheadings. So the first is his internal potency. And that is the manifestation of the spiritual world. Right? Then the external energy. That is the material nature. And then the jivas, and even up to the demigods, they are all within the marginal energy. And what marginal means is that sometimes the jiva associates with the interior and internal energy, the superior internal energy, and sometimes they associate with the inferior external energy, and thus they are marginal. When we are a conditioned soul, we are engaging in Krishna's subordinate external energy. When we are rendering devotional service to Krishna, we are engaging in the higher internal energy. Originally, the jiva is of the internal energy. So there are three subdivisions: external potency, internal, and the marginal. And the jiva is originally of the internal potency. That is the whole spiritual world, the spiritual realm. Right? So this concludes then that everything around us is Krishna's energy, either his para or apara shakti. Everything that we engage in is one of those two energies. So that is what we established in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and is being reconfirmed here. So then how to know Krishna? Our limited potency is incapable of understanding Krishna because he has unlimited potency, so what to do? So this is a very important conclusion of the Sri Isopanisad, and all of them, is that the Upanishads are warning us, do not approach Krishna on our own ability, but instead we must rely on this Vedic knowledge that is coming from Guru Parampara to understand. One must ultimately learn about Krishna from Krishna. There is no other source. Right? Our mental speculation is limited by our abilities, which is far, far less than the unlimited, so we can never get there. Even if you added up the abilities of all the living entities and combined the intelligence, we all got together and tried to research, it still would add up to a tiny spark of the whole. So this limited ability can never understand the unlimited, and that is an important conclusion. As I mentioned earlier, even traveling at the speed of mind for millions of years, Krishna will remain very far away from the mental speculators. So how we can know something that we can't even get close to? Right? But Krishna, he reveals himself. To who? To his devotee. According to the degree of one's surrender, to one's submissiveness, then Krishna reveals himself. And we'll see at the end of this Sri Isopanisad the beautiful prayers by the devotee begging Krishna to reveal his beautiful face to his vision. So Krishna can be understood in this way only. Right? Can only know Krishna through devotional service. And we see in Srimad Bhagavatam many examples of this. Lord Brahma, when he appeared at top of the lotus stem at the beginning of creation, he was completely confused. He had no idea what to do. So he began to perform tapasya. Then Krishna came, bestowed upon him the creative potency, bestowed upon him all the Vedas, all the knowledge, and thus he became known. But on his own, even Lord Brahma was totally confused, fearful. Everything was dark. He could hear the raging ocean below him of the Garbha ocean. He's sitting on this lotus stem, not sure what to do. No one around. You can imagine how fearful we would be. But through his austerity, his tapa, he then became to know. So this is how one understands. Dhruva Maharaj, by his devotional service under the guidance of Narada Muni, saw Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And when Lord Vishnu came to see him, he had no ability to even offer prayers. He didn't even know how to offer prayers or glorification. And so what Lord Vishnu did? He put his conch on his head. And then Dhruva Maharaj became enlightened and was able to offer very beautiful glorifications of Krishna. So how he could understand him? By devotional service and the mercy of Krishna. So we see this over and over again. And this is the means to understand these very difficult and sometimes, again, we'll talk about it in the next couple of verses, these seemingly contradictions. Right? So Srila Prabhupada comments at the end of this purport of verse 4, I wanted to read it really nicely, about the power, about our power. Every part of the complete whole is endowed with some particular energy to act. When that part forgets his particular activities, he is considered to be in Maya, illusion. Thus, from the very beginning, Sri Isopanisad warns us to be very careful to play the part designated for us by the Lord. This does not mean that the individual soul has no initiative of his own, but he is part and parcel of the Lord. He must partake of the initiative of the Lord as well. When one properly utilizes his initiative or active nature with intelligence, understanding that everything is the Lord's potency, he can revive his original consciousness, which was lost due to association with the Maya, the external energy. All power is obtained from the Lord. Therefore, each particular power must be utilized to execute the will of the Lord, and not otherwise. So, the point here is that we have some great ability. We have some power. But where does it come from? Whatever ability we have, it comes from Krishna. And it was given to us by him for a particular purpose. And that ultimate purpose, to enjoy with him. So one should use that ability, whatever we have, for the service of the person who gave it to us, the Supreme Lord. Then we'll find perfection. Otherwise, if we try to use this ability, whatever we have, separate from him, as Krishna Prabhupada says, we are in Maya. Because in the end, everything is Krishna's energy. We are never separated from him. We just try to experience some pretend separation. But always we are engaging with one of his energies, his apara Shakti. So there is actually no separation from Krishna. But due to the power of Maya, we are put under the illusion to try to pretend like we're in separation. So this is the understanding that we get from this fourth verse. And the final point I'll make is at the end of this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains what is perfect knowledge about God. He says, perfect knowledge means knowing the Lord in all his features, 1. 2, knowing his potencies. And 3, knowing how these potencies work by his will. So perfect knowledge of God is 1, knowing the Lord in all his features. Then, knowing about his potencies, his abilities, his energies. And then, knowing how these potencies work by his control. So these three things combine to provide perfect knowledge about God. And that is what we're learning here in the Isopanisad. So then we understand how to shape our activities. Right? So now verse 5. The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything. A very enigmatic verse again. So he is, walks and doesn't walk. Far and near. Within everything and not within anything. So here we hear about the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. And what is the point of this verse? So we think about where we started. We started with this invocation about the Supreme Lord being the complete whole. And he remains complete, even though he makes so many things. That in and of itself is inconceivable. Then we understood how this Ishavasyam principle is critical to our existence because we are all under the maintenance of Ishavasya, the supreme controller. And how one who lives that obtains happiness and one who doesn't is doomed, verses 2 and 3. And now we're trying to understand, how does this all work? This incredible potency of this Supreme Lord. How he makes a quota set aside for every living entity. That seems impossible. What if he forgets about me? Okay? So, to help us understand, in this 5th verse, we're getting these seemingly contradictions. But actually, they're not contradictions. What they do is they prove the inconceivable nature of Krishna. They prove how spectacular they are. Because to our limited minds, they seem like contradictions. Right? Because we have not experienced something like this. How one can walk and not walk. How one can be far and yet near. Right? Those things we have never experienced. So they seem like impossible. But they are not possible. They just speak to the extraordinary potency of the Supreme Lord. Right? If God had potencies similar to us, then we could conceive them. Right? We could understand them. If he could run similar to us, if he could be in one place similar to us, if he had consciousness similar to us, then it would not be inconceivable. Then we could understand it. Right? So the purpose of this verse is to explain and help us understand that the Lord is far beyond. His ability is far beyond us. That these things, they actually seem contradictory. But again, they are not contradictions. They just speak to the incredible potency of the Supreme Lord. So a very important point, because sometimes when we see these, we start to doubt, But just like if you tell a small child who's playing with a ball, and every time he throws the ball in the air, it falls on the ground. And you tell that child, there is a giant mass of steel that can stay in the air for 10 hours. He'll think, that's impossible. I'm putting this ball and it keeps falling. There's no way this giant mass of steel could stay in the air. He said, no, there's a powerful engine that pushes. Inconceivable for that child. But we all know, seeing an airplane fly in the sky for 10 hours is no big deal. Okay? But relative to his understanding, that seems impossible. and a fanciful imagination. So sometimes when we try to understand the Lord by our own feeble minds, it feels like mythology or some kind of cute story. But that is due to the inconceivable nature of the Lord and our very limited abilities. Right? Otherwise, the Bhagavatas, Prabhupada says, knows that without the inconceivable potency of the Lord, there can be no meaning to the word Supreme Lord. Right? If he was just like us, then what is the point of Supreme Lord? So here are the inconceivable potencies. Right? And we said that he is near and far. So these potencies we should not try to prove on our own, but just try to understand them from Shastra. So the point here is that Krishna, he can descend here into the material world through his energies. He can be present in every single atom. Yet, he is playing with the cowherd boys in Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual realm, far, far away. So he is present here, even in our hearts as Paramatma. Yet, at the same time, he is present in the spiritual world. So we should not confuse this point. He descends here and still in Goloka. Just like the sun is sitting in the sky, but the energy is disseminated everywhere. Right? We have given this example already. Krishna is compared to this fire, situated in one place, yet disseminated very, very far away. So thus he is present in every atom, yes, yet he is still situated far, far away in the spiritual world. Right? The Mayavadis say that since everything is God's energy, he has lost his form. And that we are all energy of God, and we are all combined back together to form God. But this verse, again, very clearly establishes that philosophy to be incorrect. Right? We know that the sun, it continues to shine, but it doesn't blend away into the sky. It remains present as a planet. Right? So, Krishna, again, is simultaneously within everything, yet he is not. He is untouched, residing far, far away. Right? While he is the same as his energies, he is also different than his energies. And we'll discuss that in discussing the Ekatvam principle in the coming verse. Right? So this is the Achintya potency, this inconceivable feature of the Lord. That is one of his natures, is Achintya, inconceivable. Right? Mother Yashoda, when Krishna ate mud, and she looks to see, did you eat mud? And Krishna opens his mouth, and she sees the entire universe. Now, when we hear that statement, we perceive, he was showing some image of the universe. No. He was not showing the image of the universe. The entire universe was contained within his mouth. But we can't conceive that. How that is possible. We are situated outside, but actually at the same time inside. Actually, the entire universe was contained within. We'll see this in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, these are not fanciful or cute stories. There's actual reality. When Mother Yashoda tries to bind Krishna's belly, why she couldn't bind it? Because Krishna's belly is the abode of the entire universe. You don't have enough rope to bind the universe. So, these are important, these potencies to understand, right? And why is this verse here again? Reinforcing for us that our limited minds cannot understand this on our own. We must try to understand through the process of devotional service by approaching Shastra under the guidance of Guru. This is the means to know. And the more we surrender, the more we will know. The more we render devotional service, the more we'll understand. And this brings us to the aspect of Vigraha, the Archa Vigraha, the deity form of the Lord. Is it marble? Is it stone? Is it brass? These are all material matter. But why can't Krishna descend into one of his inferior energies? The stone or marble is his energy anyways. So the stone, being his inferior energy, the source of that energy can certainly transform it into spiritual energy, can he not? This is the power of being the source. We cannot do it. We cannot turn matter into spirit. But Krishna, being the source of the energies, can manipulate the energies back into spirit. So he can make a stone spirit by his ability. He is the source of that energy. Right? But because he is unlimited, so then he can accept our service through even one of his stones, making it actual spirit. It is not matter at that point. When the Lord descends into the Archa Vigraha, it becomes true spirit. Though we perceive it as just stone or marble or wood, it is not matter. And how it happens is not just some, idea. It's reality. The source of that energy himself can transform it. Right? And we see so many great pastimes of this. The devotee has faith in this. The pastime of Shakshi Gopal. The Brahmana, when he went to Shakshi Gopal and said, "You bore witness to the promise. Now you come and testify." The deity said, "I'm a deity, I can't walk." And he said, "Nonsense, you are the Supreme Lord. You are eating all these offerings, you are speaking to me now. Why you can't walk?" But do we have faith that the deity can actually walk? So this is the vision of the great devotee. They understand it is not matter. It is pure spirit. Next point, and final point from this verse. These qualities. So is Krishna controlled by his material energies? No. Right? How can the creator of the energies be controlled by the energy? He is the source of everything. So he is always under control. They are always working under his direction. He can use material energy in any way. When he descends, he is not under the influence of the modes. And thus he says in the Bhagavad Gita, "Fools deride me when I descend in my human form." When he descends, there is no aging. He does not age. He has no material body. Right? But the foolish do not understand this. And a simple way to explain this, Prabhupada used to give, is, the king. He may build a prison house. And within the prison house, there are many rules. But when the king goes to visit the prison house, does he become subject to those rules? No, he is the king. He is the creator of those rules. He is the creator of the prison house. But he does not become subject to them once he enters the prison. Similarly, when Krishna descends into his own creation, made up of his own energies, he does not become under the influence of them. And so the conclusion is, he chooses when and where to appear. At any time. In an instant he may appear. As he did as Lord Nrsingadev. To fulfill the words of his devotee. Yes, he is in this pillar. And he instantly appeared from the pillar. It is not so difficult for the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have to book a ticket, plan some time. From far, far away in the spiritual world, it must take him some time to come down to the pillar. He is faster than the fast. He can instantly be anywhere. Okay? So, we cannot. That's because we have material qualities. But Krishna has these spiritual qualities. We'll see in a second how his body is not even material. So when we say saguna, with qualities, it means that Krishna does not come with material qualities. He does not have this material form. He is never under the control of his own energies. That is foolish. Just like the sunlight never controls the sun. The sun is always controlling the sunlight. Similarly, the material qualities can never control Krishna. So he is not saguna. He is not with qualities. He is nirguna. But nirguna means he has no material qualities. He is only full of spiritual qualities, as we'll already understood and as we'll continue. So the Mayavadis tried to take this nirguna and misinterpret it, saying he has no qualities. That means he has no form. No, he has no material qualities. He's full of spirit. Okay? So this is verse 5. Lots of technical details in these. Now, the next 3 verses, we're going to see how the Mahabhagavat, the pure devotee, how he sees the Supreme Lord with these inconceivable potencies. So mantra 6. He who sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, who sees all entities as his part and parcels, and who sees the Supreme Lord within everything, never hates anything, nor any being. So now we see, explaining how the Mahabhagavat sees everything. He sees everything. He's not confused by Krishna's unlimited potency. He sees everything in relation to Krishna. Knows everything and everyone is part of Krishna's energy. And this is the realization and vision that develops from devotional service, not through mental speculation. Through devotional service, our vision changes. We start to see everything in relation to Krishna. We realize that everything is Krishna. Nothing is not one of his energies. And thus, it changes our consciousness. Right? So the inconceivable becomes conceivable by devotional service. This is how powerful bhakti is. That the inconceivable can become conceivable. We can say partially conceivable at least. No one can fully know Krishna, but we can begin to understand him. Right? And what is the result of this vision is that one does not hate anyone. Why? Because he sees that everything is related to Krishna. He sees the spider and the brahmana both as part and parcel of Krishna. The only difference, one is encaged in a different body due to the past actions, due to some misuse of this free will. But he sees all as brothers and sisters, because all is part and parcel of our Supreme Father, Krishna. Thus, the vision is he does not have any hate to anyone. This is the vision of the Mahabhagavat, seeing everything as part and parcel of Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established these 3 categories of understanding in Sambandha, Abhidaya, Prayojana. That in Sambandha, we begin to understand our relationship with Krishna. And when we understand our relationship to Krishna as his servant, we then begin to act in that relationship, Abhidaya. Acting in that relationship, rendering devotional service, leads to Prayojana, the supreme goal of eternal service to Krishna with full bliss and happiness. No envy, no hatred, no lamenting, no hankering. So this is the understanding. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport the 3 types of devotees, the Kanishtadhikari, the Madhyamedhikari, the Uttamadhikari. Just briefly, the Kanishtadhikari only sees Krishna in the temple, does not see Krishna present everywhere, does not have this vision that's being described in verse 6. The Madhyamadhikari sees that Krishna is everywhere. He adores Krishna as a Supreme Lord. He is friends with the devotees. He is compassionate to the fallen. And he avoids the envious. And the Uttamadhikari, the Mahabhagavat that's being described here in this verse, sees everyone as part and parcel. Even the dog and the brahmana, he treats the same. Because he only sees a misuse of independence, but he sees the spirit soul present in everyone, and thus treats them all the same. Right? So this is very, very important. The final point I wanted to make on this verse, Srila Prabhupada gives some commentary on this verse, anupashyati. This is a very important concept, anupashyati. Means that one observes in a systematic way. The point here is that we are not observing with our own eyes, which are imperfect. Anu means to follow, and pashyati means to observe. It means we observe by following. That we don't see and observe things with our own eyes, but instead we see through hearing the teachings of our past acharyas, following the teachings. We must hear from a superior source. So our vision is not through our eyes, but actually through our ears. Coming from Krishna through parampara. This is the way to see. And Bhakti Siddhanta says Thakur gave a great story once, or this story about him was very indicative of this. He was giving a class in Vrindavan, and he was giving a class, and he noticed that one of his disciples was not present in that class. And so later in the day, he saw that disciple, and he asked, I was giving class, you were not present. And he explained that, I went to go see one temple, one deity. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur asked, he said, how was your eye exercise? And the disciple was confused, eye exercise? And then explained that you do not see with your eyes. The only thing you got was some exercise of your eyelids. You actually see by hearing. So when we go to Vrindavan, we don't see with our eyes. We actually see with our ears. And this word here, this anupashyati, is very important. That we observe in a systematic way. Again, we see by hearing, following in the footsteps of our previous acharyas. This is how this Mahabhagavad vision can be manifest to us as well. Okay? So now we'll discuss verses 7 and 8. 7. One who always sees all living entities as spiritual sparks, in quality one with the Lord, becomes a true knower of things. What then can be illusion and anxiety for him? Very nice verse here. Right? What is the vision of the Mahabhagavad? Are we all God? If we're all his energy, are we not all God? Did God dissolve into his energies and jivas? If you put all the jivas together, does that become God? That is not the vision of the Mahabhagavad. The vision of the Mahabhagavad is like this. He sees in quality one with the Lord. So he sees this ekatvam, oneness with Krishna, very clearly. And when one does, there is no illusion or anxiety. Right? So let's discuss this ekatvam principle very carefully. So it's very important to understand our oneness with Krishna, because this is often misunderstood. So all living entities, as we know, are part and parcel of Krishna. Part means that we are of the same quality, that we come from Krishna. We are an expansion of Krishna. But we are parcel, which means we are eternally separated. So part and parcel. Not just part of Krishna, we are part and parcel. Both coupled together. So again, the part means that we are one in quality. We have the same qualities of the Lord. So that is in the sense of how we are one with Krishna. The energy has the same properties of the energetic, right? The source. The sunlight has the same energies as the sun. But, so in one way, there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. Right? Now the jiva, as I explained, we don't have all of the qualities of Krishna. We have 50 of the 64 qualities. so about 80%. The jiva has 50 of the 64 qualities. Okay? Again, there are unlimited qualities, but these are the principal qualities. So in this way, we are one with the Lord. But is that it? No. We are different in that we are distinct in quantity. While we share some similar qualities of Krishna, we have them in very tiny amounts. We are limited, whereas the Supreme Lord is unlimited. And the example is given of the fire and spark. In one sense, the fire and the spark are one and the same. But you can very clearly know that spark is not fire in terms of quantity of the heat and light. You can hold a spark in your hand and no problem. Are you going to hold fire in your hand? No. So in one sense, they're one and the same. But they're practically very different. One you would hold, one you would not. Right? Prabhupada gives example again of salt in the ocean. Yes, in a drop of ocean water, there is some salt. The chemical composition is the exact same of the whole ocean. Yet the quantity of salt is very limited. Right? So we have oneness in that we come from Krishna and we share some qualities, but we are very distinct in that we have very limited amounts. Right? So since everything is Krishna's energy, including ourselves, the energy and the energetic are the same, then does the Mahabhagavad see us as God? No. Again, just repeating over and over again, that we sees oneness and everything is Krishna's energy. So that is the oneness. So we are simultaneously one with God, but very different. Right? The Mayavadis say everything is God. No one to worship. Worship yourself. You're an energy of God. Thus you are God. But we know God's creation is one and different. Right? The material world is His energy, but it is still distinct. This is this simultaneously oneness and difference. Right? Just like heat and light, they are energies of fire. They are non-different. You cannot separate heat and light from fire. Right? But at the same time, you cannot say that light or heat is fire. This is this achintya beda beda tattva. This inconceivable, simultaneously oneness and difference. At the same time, the same and different. So this is the oneness. Okay? And why does this ekotam have to mean that we are not one in quantity? How do we know for sure we are not one in quantity with the Supreme Lord? If we were one in quantity, then how we become under the influence of the material energy? If we are equal to the creator of the energy, we would not be influenced by it. We could stop the energy. Right? The power station can stop the supply of power to the power outlet. But we cannot stop the power outlet from giving power. So if we were one in quantity, how we would ever age, how the influence of time would affect us. That's one of His energies. Right? How it would ever, rain when we didn't want it to rain. We know we are constantly being controlled by the material energies. So this is the proof positive. We are not similar in quantity to the Supreme Lord. Okay? So this ekatvam means one in quality, but very distinct in quantity. And then another reference is this final point I made here, which is oneness in purpose. Ekatvam refers also to oneness in purpose, all one goal. The nature of the spiritual entity, the living entity, both the jiva and the Supreme Lord, they have one purpose, and that is to enjoy. Anandamayo vyashat. Both the jiva and the Supreme Lord, they have the natural constitution to enjoy eternally. So we are oneness in purpose with Krishna. However, we are meant to enjoy with Krishna. With Him. This is our oneness with Him. But when we try to enjoy separate, we are going against this ekatvam principle. Right? So while we have a single purpose, we are not singular. We are eternally separate as parcels. Right? And so what is the result of this vision? No anxiety, no hatred. Right? The Mahabhagavata doesn't hate anyone. Sees everyone as part and parcel. Ekatvam. Sees oneness in purpose. Oneness with Krishna. How you can hate somebody who is like your worshipful Lord. Oneness in the correct sense. And no anxiety. Right? When you understand everything, then there is no anxiety. You see things as they are. Anxiety arises from our interaction with material energy under illusion. That is where we become anxious. So this is the understanding. So very important principle, this ekatvam principle. Now we'll just discuss verse 8 a little bit quickly since we're running out of time today. Verse 8, such a person must factually know the greatest of all, who is unembodied, omniscient, beyond reproach, without veins, pure, uncontaminated, the self-sufficient philosopher, who has been fulfilling everyone's desires since time immemorial. So now we see that the Mahabhagavata sees the qualities of the Lord. The Mahabhagavata knows Krishna's form. Again, we see is showing God is a person, right? He is not embodied. He is unembodied. What does this mean? It doesn't mean he doesn't have a form. It means that he is not trapped inside a machine-like material body, like we are. We are trapped within a body. Our body is forced upon us. But Krishna, there is no separation from him and his body. His form, that's Krishna. It is Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Right? So there's no separate body and soul. For us, we are trapped within this body. And we have this mind and intelligence. But Krishna is all in all. And he has no machinery. Right? He has no veins, no stomach, no organs, no blood. His body is all spirit. There's no digestive tract, no parts that might not work. Unlike us, we're constantly having different parts of this machine breaking down. Right? That is the unembodied, the nature of the Lord. That's why in this verse it says he has no veins. Very interesting, right? That he explains that. So trying to understand that the Supreme Lord's form not only has a form, but what kind of form? Each of his parts of his body can do any function. His eyes, he can walk. With his eyes, he can eat. With his eyes, he can hear. Because it's all spirit. Our eyes are matter. So they don't work in this way. So very inconceivable potencies again. He is omniscient, all-knowing. He knows past, present, and future, everywhere. We know what is going on in our body. If I stub my toe, you don't know. But if I stub my toe and you stub your toe, Krishna knows both. Because he is omniscient. He is all-knowing. We are limited with our presence, but Krishna, being present everywhere, is all-knowing. And the all-knowing nature means that Krishna awards our enjoyment according to our qualification. He knows what our qualification is. And important that it is not our qualification alone that is sufficient, that Krishna must sanction it. Prabhupada gives the example that you may get a law degree, but that doesn't guarantee a job. Some higher authority must grant you a job. Your qualification alone does not guarantee it. So similarly, our qualification doesn't guarantee. Still, Krishna must bestow it upon us through his mercy. Krishna fulfills our desires. Right? That's one of the statements of this verse. Krishna fulfills the desires based on his mercy. So everything comes from him. So the key is, what is the desire to have? The Mahabhagavata knows what to desire. And that is pure devotional service. Because we have to be careful. The Supreme Lord, if we want to be far away from him, he will remain far, far away. But if we want to know him, he'll also come very, very close. So the Mahabhagavad knows that the best thing to ask for is pure devotional service. And finally, the final point Prabhupada makes in the purport to this 8th verse is that Krishna, he is pure. He says antiseptic and prophylactic. Now, I remember the first few times I read this, I couldn't understand this. It's kind of difficult. So there are 2 points. One is antiseptic. It means that Krishna is the ultimate purifying force. It can purify anything. That even the most degraded, sinful of the sinful can become purified by the association of Krishna and his devotees. And he is prophylactic. It means he is protected. He is always pure. Even if he comes within the material world, he is untouched. The example is given like the lotus leaf. Though it is in the water, it is untouched by the water due to that coating. So Krishna, he is untouched. When we see him in the material world, we should not think that he is touched by the material energies. He is pure. Even if he performs the seemingly sinful activity of killing Aristasura, as we saw in the manifestation of Radhakund, there is no sin, because he is untouched by any material nature. Sin and pious nature is of the material world. So he is never touched. This again debunks the theory that God becomes contaminated when he descends to the material world. So he is always pure and prophylactic. He is untouched. Right? So this is the vision of the Mahabhagavad. He sees the qualities of the Lord. He sees the oneness in all things. And he sees the Lord present everywhere. This is the understanding in verses 6, 7, and 8. In verses 4 and 5, we understood the inconceivable nature of the Ishvara, the Supreme Lord. They are not inconceivable by, they are conceivable by the potency of bhakti. But they are inconceivable by our limited minds. So this is these 5 verses. So I know a lot of material covered today. So I'll pause here. Any questions or comments on these verses?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Dhanavad.
Who is Mahabhagavad, Prabhuji?
Mahabhagavad. So who is Mahabhagavad? That is the Uttama Adhikari, the highest devotee, the pure devotee.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are the pure devotee, and they have that vision. Krishna explains the position of Mahabhagavad also in Bhagavad Gita. But they are similar as Uttama Adhikari. Not exactly the same, technically speaking, but for all intents and purposes, I can say the topmost devotee.
Okay. Prabhuji, just one more question.
Yes.
You mentioned Saguna and Nirguna. What are those two, Prabhuji? I just...
Yeah, so what is Saguna and what is Nirguna? So this guna that's being referred to is material qualities. So Saguna means with material qualities. Nirguna means without material qualities. So Krishna is explained as Nirguna. So what does this Nirguna mean? It means that Krishna does not have material qualities, but he does have spiritual qualities. So, right? The conditioned soul, we possess material qualities. The soul remains pure, but conditioned within the material world, right? We develop saguna, these material qualities. Goodness, passion, ignorance. But Krishna is nirguna. He has no qualities.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I'm kind of confused here. I thought that Krishna does not have any material qualities, so he is like Suguna. It's not that. And Nirguna was you said about no qualities that Mayavadi said, so I'm kind of confused. Could you just explain please about it?
Yeah, so nirguna again refers to no material qualities, not no qualities. So the guna that's being referenced when we say nir is the material qualities. So Krishna has no material qualities, but he is full of spiritual qualities. He has unlimited spiritual qualities. He has 64 in principle that we talk about. And those represent, he must have a form, right? How do you have humor without a form? How do you have wit without a form? How do you have beauty without a form? So these natures, the qualities are there, but he doesn't have material qualities. So that is why he is called a nirguna. The Mayavadis take nirguna to suggest he has no qualities in total. But again, this term nirguna is referring to material qualities.
Okay, that I understand now. Now, then suguna is the qualities of passion, ignorance, or is that suguna?
Yeah, the material, the qualities of modes of nature. Yep.
But I thought suguna is something that is in goodness. It doesn't mean that it also includes ignorance.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Suguna, it was
that's sattva gun.
Okay.
Yeah, sattva gun is mode of goodness, rajagun, and tamogun. Sa means with, guna means quality. So that's and this is Prabhupada explains this, I think, at the end of verse 7.
And also, could you explain a little bit about this part? I'm confused. Is this internal potency and external potency, the marginal potency? What I thought was that jiva is, we are in the all the living entities, including the demigods, we are in the marginal potency, and then external potency is the material world, and the internal is the potency is his pleasure potency. But then I think as far as I understood when you were talking, you talked about jiva and the internal potency. So I'm kind of really confused with this whole thing.
Yep, I was trying to find the. Okay, I don't have it here in the. Yeah, so the internal potency is Krishna's superior energy, and the external potency is Krishna's inferior energy, the material energy. The living entity is originally of internal energy, right? Because it's coming part and parcel from Krishna. If it's coming from Krishna, it has to be from the superior internal energy. The living entity is considered marginal because sometimes it chooses to associate itself with the inferior material energy. But it also can choose to associate with the superior internal energy. Thus, it is marginal. And the example is given of the riverbank, right? The riverbank, it's not river and it's not land. It's in between. Sometimes it's part of the river, sometimes it's part of the land, based on how it's situated. So, but the original nature of the living entity is of the internal spiritual energy. So the internal potency, Prabhupada comments in this section, is the spiritual world. So the whole of the spiritual realm is of the internal energy. And then the internal energy has many, 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 many different potencies and subdivisions of it. Millions. Just as the external energy has many, many, many subdivisions and different aspects of it. Okay? But just understand, one is the pure spiritual energy, and one is the inferior material energy. And we are in between, based on our consciousness. But our original constitution, our original position is of the superior spiritual energy. Does that clarify, Mataji?
Yeah, I'm just kind of understanding. If you could just correct me. So originally, since we all belong to the spiritual world, so therefore we had that originally the internal potency, right? That was the original constitution. So And then with the contact with the material nature, we are kind of in the marginal side, depending upon how much we are contaminated, that marginal, so we are basically marginal at that point of time. Okay.
Prabhupada says in another area, not in this, but that marginal refers to the potential for us to associate with matter. So that's the reference of marginal. I'm not sure I would associate gradations of marginal, meaning more marginal, less marginal, but just understand marginal to mean that because we identify with matter, we have the we have that ability. We are considered this marginal potency. I wouldn't read gradations into it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Nice questions. Anything else? Okay. So next week we'll discuss verses 9 through 11, and we'll talk about knowledge. So, okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki. Hare Krishna, everyone.